Hello and welcome to today's edition of URP Practical Talk. I'm your host, George Gonzalez. And today in the studio, we have Mr. Raul Aaron, the Acting General Secretary of the United Republican Party. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much. Welcome in.
All right, so how are things?
Things are going pretty smooth. We are very optimistic as normal. The United Republican Party is going to remain optimistic in relations to what is happening in relations to current affairs, what is happening in relations to the lead up to, first of all, local government election, and that's something that we are keeping a serious eye on. And we also have some principles and concepts. Of course, we're going to be talking about that much more in programs to come. And also, we're campaigning very assiduously towards the 2020 election.
Great to hear. So it really seems that you're getting a good response from the public, the message of the URP.
We believe that the United Republican Party's message, once it reaches the masses, we are going to get maximum response in relations to persons wanting to associate themselves with the party. And then I say again, Guyana political culture is basically encapsulated with the PNC, which is a major part of the APNU, and also with PDP. Guyanese need to remove themselves. They need to divorce themselves from two-party politics, which is the PPP and the and APNU. Once I believe persons begin to understand that there are more players and more persons are bringing a better life to them in the future, I believe they are definitely going to log on to the United Republican Party.
So it's definitely great to hear. And so, of course, like as always, we like to go into current events. So, say let's go right into it. Well, the first one, or at least the one I can definitely think of, is the recent swearing in of the new Police Service Commission. Of course, this is a highly anticipated swearing in. It was, I guess, given the fact that, especially since the commission has been out of there wasn't an active one for the past year. Throughout this time, there have been a lot of concerns in sort of hiring, promotions. Of course, one big promotion, even the top cop position, because of course, while we have an acting top cop, we don't have the who's going to be the permanent one since the exit of Silal Prasad. So,
Correct.
I guess what is your take on all this? I guess development going on right now.
I think the Police Service Commission is a critical element in relations to um, management of the police force. I believe it's like if you don't have the service commission, it's like a snake without a head. Then you have flip flopping. I believe the service commission is very relevant at this time. It's needed a long time, and I believe now that it's in place, we can look forward to some serious action in relations to what is going to come down. I believe Paul Slow he's very good in relations to being the chairman of that commission. I believe he has the policing skills to really lead that board. However, I believe they're up against a serious task in relations to the selection of a police commission. And I know John Public is, everyone is have they pick and their take in relations to who's going to become the next, commission of police. Apart from the selection of the commission of police, also there is need for lots of cases in relations to the police service commission that is there that's just pending and waiting to be tried and issues that are waiting to be fixed. But I believe a good commission of police should be someone who is seriously trained and someone who understands the mechanism of administration. And embracing that administrative skills, that person should know a lot about policing. What is important to note is that at the top brass right now in relations to the Guyana police force is that there are lots of persons up there that knows quite a lot
Mm,
about policing
mm.
and
Very experienced set of people
very
there.
experienced persons.
Mhm.
And most of the persons who are touted for top for top cops, we have to look first of all at their
Mm-hmm.
educational background, and I think the president has paid some specific attention to that. And then we have to look at not only their policing skills, but their administrative skills. A good spin on the selection of the Commission of Police could be the Service Commission recommending to the president that someone who is unbribable, as the president has stated,
Mm-hmm.
leads the or becomes the top cop. And that person utilizes the skills of his colleagues in relations to the policing issue while that person administered. Um,
So I'm sorry to cut you right there. So essentially, that's kind of saying that in some regards, the character of this person for this position may really matter more than even the background or the education itself. Then I should say.
well, I think it would matters more. It matters more than the actual policing skill,
Oh, okay. Yes,
because
yes.
there is lots of policing skills at the top brass. So, but what I believe is not happening is those policing skills are not being administrated properly, and I believe a good spin would be to have the first female commissioner of police. You know,
Hmm?
let's look at her policing skills.
Okay, so this is Maxime Graham, right? Oh,
Maxine Graham,
Graham. Okay. Yeah.
and why don't we utilize her administrative skills, and then she can just pull together all of the uh, all of the policing skills that all of our colleagues has. Someone who is this would be the first woman commissioner of police
Mm-hmm.
um, in this country, and it would be the first for the force.
Yeah.
Let's see how someone with a gentler hand will handle the force and also be able to relate with the public. So I don't have a pick,
Mm-hmm.
but the URP in its manifesto have platformed and pillared that Guyana must become safe. And that is one of our campaign slogans, a safer Guyana. And for us to have a safer Guyana, we'll definitely need someone who can lead the Guyana police force in a very practical way, and also someone who can communicate properly with the public. I think there is still need for more capacity to be built between the public in relations to their respect for the Guyana police force and the policemen and managing the police officers themselves.
Do you feel like some level of this distrust that may exist between the public and the police force may could possibly even not necessarily be solved, but can definitely be improved if there's a better form of communication between the police and like in terms of community outreach and things of that nature?
I believe the police force has a very proactive community outreach program that is actually currently going on. But I don't believe it's being given enough attention. And that is they have a good youth program. But how many persons are actually getting involved in the youth program? How many persons know about the youth program? And whether or not those persons at the top right now are paying specific attention to those youth programs that is actually being executed.
Yeah, because I'm sure those same youth programs would then have the consequence of of less crime, of less youth delinquency, of course, because they're actually involved. So, which of course then means there's less future crime, or at least that's the intended.
Yeah, that's the intended
Yeah.
concept, and I believe once that concept settles,
Yeah.
then we can have a new generation of persons who understands what a policeman is, and we can go back to the old days when you're in trouble, you go to the police. Now, when persons are in trouble, they run from the police. But I believe gradually and with the installation of the Police Service Commission, they can now look at the Guyana police force in a more holistic way.
Yeah. So then it would sound like then the best way that, or at least one of the best ways that the commissioner can really do that is it sounds like it's somewhere in terms of getting out the word of the good things that's being done. So I don't know, maybe that sounds like it's maybe the media, or maybe they got to have a little bit better PR. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the police commissioner should look into trying to encourage.
I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
PR because I
Mm,
think the PR department of the Guyana Police Force really needs to do a little more.
mm,
I think they're doing a lot, but they really need to tighten up and to pull up their socks
mm,
in relations to actually getting the public
mm.
to embrace the Guyana Police Force in a more active way. And I think they also need to. You will always have road cops,
Yes, of course.
and once those are gone, then persons will now begin to engage the Guyana Police Force in a much more pleasant way
Yeah,
because there's still a lot of resistance in lots of pockets,
of course.
and I believe a good commissioner of police will be able to eradicate that.
Oh, oh, absolutely. And of course, with a new police commissioner, that would come a new culture that would have to come in order to come about to really be able to stamp out corruption or to stamp out a lot of these issues that we see within the force.
You see, the Guyana Police Force is an autonomous organization. They doesn't take instructions from any other body. They don't take instructions from the president.
Mm,
They operate under a specific act, and as such, they have some autonomy. So I believe once left to do their jobs, um, and guided by the authority that is responsible for them, the Police Service Commission. I believe anyone that comes in there that has good administrative skills and who can actually lead the abundance of policing skills that they have would be a excellent commissioner of police and be able to bridge the gap. The police force have begun to retool.
mm.
There's more
Absolutely.
vehicles. They're responding faster
Absolutely.
to and the URP recognize that, and anything that helps the people to be safer, because that's what we campaign on, a safer Guyana, we acknowledge it. We're not afraid to acknowledge that, but we just believe that there's more that can be done.
Yeah. So there have been strides that have been made in the right direction, but there's still some distance to go.
Definitely, I believe
Mm,
there's distance. There's lots of distance to be covered.
mm,
I believe that those distances cannot be covered if there's not a substantive police commission. Because once you're acting, you're not given the leeway to
mm,
put certain things in place. And I believe once the Police Service Commission appoints a commission of police, and the snake has a head,
mm.
then I believe they can actually sink their teeth into real policing.
I like that. Strong metaphor.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, all right. So that we'll shift it a little bit towards another current event. Of course, a few days ago, Professor Dr. Clive Thomas had made the assertion that concept of giving every Guyanese household 5,000 U.S. dollars from, and taking that as from a percentage of the oil money. He explained that it would have a lot of economic benefits for Guyanese, especially the poor. I know that some politicians have, or even some persons, it created a lot of firestorm. Of course, some people were for it, some people were against it. People had very strong words about it. It sounds like even within the opposition and even within the both parties, that there are people who are both for and against this. So, well, not necessarily speaking to giving out $5,000, but that I would definitely say that he's considered this a concept of poverty alleviation, or even like an economic stimulus of any sort. So does the URP speak to some sort of concept like this, some revolutionary concept in terms of economic stimulus, especially for the poor?
Well, enshrined in our manifesto is an economic stimulant and also a poverty eradication program. This is not news for the United Republican Party. This is one of the major platforms that we campaigned on in the 2015 elections. The United Republican Party's position is unless poverty is given specific attention in this country, then Guyanese will continue to bear the brunt of in-development or underdevelopment. For some reason, in relations to action being taken, this economy, whether we have oil or the oil money is coming or we don't have it, there is need for an economic stimulant in this economy so that the poor, the unprivileged and unfortunate can actually benefit. I believe with the advent of the oil economic prosperity that is anticipated, and we have to understand the anticipation here. I believe Professor Clive Thomas hit the nail on the head
Mhm.
when he said that there must be some direct benefits in relations to the alleviation of poverty. And we have to understand that for the United Republican Party, this is nothing new. This is what we had proposed, and there need to be more discussions on it. I'm hearing in the public domain. All persons need to do is to go to the United Republican Party's manifesto, and they are going to immediately understand what is lacking in Clive Thomas's utterance, and that is methodology.
Mm.
What the United Republican Party brought to the fore in relations to their manifesto is how an economic stimulus should actually be executed.
So it's more than just some, I guess, government ministry signing checks and just mailing it to everybody.
Exactly.
Mm.
And when that was said, I think everyone is now going to sit back and say, here, I'm going to collect 1 million Guyana dollars, 5,000 US, and I'm going to be able to do what I want
Mm.
with this money. And I'm saying that can lead to anarchy. That can lead to persons beginning to believe that the state is now going to mind me. Because I tell you this, there's lots of families in Guyana that live from year to year with less than $1 million,
Mhm.
and they do pretty well.
Yeah.
So you're actually, and some persons are satisfied that they can take that $1 million and they can do some other side businesses
Mhm.
and they'll be comfortable. The United Republican Party's position is we don't believe that $1 million in cash should be handed out to anyone.
Mhm.
We believe that the monies should be specifically allocated to persons across the board. First, the United Republicans Party position is there must be an economic stimulant that hits home to every category of citizenry. And let's break it down. We believe that the upper class should receive, we believe that the middle class should receive, and the low class should receive. The United Republican Party went even further to break down the specific classes and categories further, in that the upper class must be broken down into the upper, middle upper, and the lower upper.
Mhm.
The middle class must have the middle upper, the middle, and the lower upper, the low middle. And the low class must be also subdivided into the upper low, the middle low, and the lower low. Because all those persons must be made to benefit from this economic stimulant. Now, how can they benefit? They cannot benefit in the same way. So, for everyone to enjoy benefits, the United Republican Party has suggested a menu matrix whereby persons can specifically choose off of that menu in relations to benefit that they would like to receive within the $1 million context. And I tell you this, lots of persons who are rich and who are from the upper class and middle upper class might say, I don't need monies to buy basic groceries. I don't need that. But those persons can use their $1 million as tax breaks, which is going to benefit them. They can say, look, I'll pay my $1 million towards taxes. You know why? Because I can send my child to school at all levels, I can buy them uniforms, and I can feed them. The person, let's look at the other side of the coin. The persons who are in the lower class bracket cannot say that. So there need to be a menu matrix whereby persons can specifically select off of that what specific areas they want their monies to be allocated. Let's take, for example, the middle low class.
Mm.
Or let's go to the middle class, which are the police, nurses, gyne defense force workers,
Teachers.
teachers, public service.
Hmm.
And that's a critical component in relations to the development of any country, the middle class.
Yeah.
Because this is what any government should be doing.
And some would even argue it's a sign of a truly democratic capitalist nation is when you have a strong middle class.
When you have a strong middle class.
Yeah.
So any government should be expanding their middle class to absorb parts of the lower class and also to break the extensive monopoly of the rich.
Mm.
So the more you extend your middle class is the more you have a strong and vibrant economy. So I believe that the middle class should be looked at, and you'll see persons in relations to teachers. You can expect that a teacher, police, fireman, a policeman, persons from the Guyana Defense Force will have the same needs of a persons who are in the upper class. So there must be a matrix. There must be a menu of selection. And we are proposing that some of those items on the menu, and and we want to discuss this with persons, and that is why the United Republican Party, on our campaign trail, we are reaching out to persons, at townhouses, bottom houses. We want to meet the man in the street, and we want to get real empirical facts for implementation. Because what the professor has said, it is easy to say that. And I'm going to come to that later in relations to how it can be actually implemented. But let's look at some of the items on the matrix. The United Republican Party, first and foremost, had proposed that a specific portion, persons can choose that a specific portion of those monies goes towards education, whereby you can directly put it towards your child's education, whether that child is at the tertiary level, or whether the child need books, or whether the child need basically to have school uniform.
So this could be like a credit. Essentially, you can use it like from school uniforms and school tuition all the way to even partially paying your tuition at UG. That
Right through.
sounds like okay.
Right through. I am with the United Republican Party has had some discussions with persons on this. And I've been not moving away from the subject because I'm going to come back to the menu. One person said, if I were to take, my $40,000 in groceries, and I want to buy groceries, because United Republican Party, we have enshrined this in our manifesto. So what persons are talking about now in relations and getting excited? The United Republican Party have gone past the stage of excitement, and we've gone to the level whereby we're specifically focusing on implementation.
And this was before we knew we had the oil.
This was even before that, because we believe that the persons in this country who are benefiting the least are the persons who are in poverty. And the United Republican Party, under the leadership of Dr. Bandu, wants to remove poverty from this country, because we believe that if that is alleviated, then we can have a stronger society where persons can live more comfortable. And I'm saying, right now in this country, their persons are going to bed hungry at night. And it has to stop. And the professors comments in relations to direct benefit is very much on point. It is very much on point, but I challenge them in relations to execution. I'm saying, and the United Republican Party's position is, if we have a positive implementation strategy for this, then we are on the right road. Let's take another look at groceries. The upper class persons goes to the supermarket and they purchase $60,000 one time. That might also filter down to the upper middle class, bank managers, persons who have businesses and can afford that. But when we reach to the middle and we start going down, there are few persons that can go to a supermarket, pick a trolley up, and put $60,000 in groceries and cash it out and move. The persons who cannot do that, those are the persons that the economic stimulant program should basically embrace. Now, we just can't have an economic stimulant program that can just go just like that. There must be protection of local industries in this country. And I said that on programs before this. If we are going to produce, and if we are going to produce and manufacture products in this country, then we have to ensure that local producers and manufacturers have protection from companies who are importing or from products that are being imported into Kenya. And the economic stimulant program should drive this, meaning that when a specific amount of cash is allocated for groceries, it must be purchased by from local companies. And that in itself is going to demonstrate to local industry that look, we can come on board.
Right. And so it sounds like the URP has had many ideas for direct economic stimulus for persons. And I know I would really like to go more into the company side, but unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for this episode. But it's definitely a concept that we should revisit. So, again, now, we want to just thank you all for watching this edition of URP Practical Talk. I'm your host, George Gonzalez. And as always, we would like for you to check out the website, www.urpguyana.com, or you can even find us on Facebook, URP Guyana. So, thanks for watching, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.